The reason for family dysfunction varies, however. Oftentimes, the parents in these family systems are emotionally immature. Oftentimes, they are members of the cluster B. Other times, they are alcoholics or have other substance abuse addictions. Now, these addictions are easier to spot, but one covert cause of family dysfunction, which is harder to see, is pathological narcissism, which lies at the core of the narcissistic dysfunctional family. Now, in a healthy family, parents are emotionally mature. They are emotionally self assured and live balanced and dynamic lives. In a healthy family, parents have a network of support around them, and their choice to have children came naturally. Consequently, they are equipped to nurture their children and to support them as they grow into their own autonomy. Healthy parents are empathetic enough that their children feel secure in their attachment, and they have enough healthy shame that the children grow up with high self esteem, self confidence, and self worth. Healthy parents rely on honest communication to establish order in the house, opposed to having an authoritarian dictator type of rule. Conversely, in a narcissistic dysfunctional family, these parents have long lost touch with their true self and are living through a narcissistic false ego self. For the narcissistic parent, the family represents two things: an object that they can use to get narcissistic supply and a status symbol. What should be a nurturing and loving structure intended to raise healthy children instead becomes a source of narcissistic supply. In narcissistic dysfunctional family systems, the need of the narcissist outweighs those of everyone else, and the spouse and children must serve the narcissistic parent. The narcissist's unquenchable thirst for control and a narcissistic supply lies neatly under the guise of a loving family. Yet, the narcissist will relish their position of power. In order for this type of family dysfunction to continue, two rules must be followed. And number one is everyone must serve the narcissist. So this means that the narcissist needs must come first. They must be the center of the family's solar system. And secondly, the needs of the spouse or children must never limit the narcissist or threaten the image or the reputation of a perfect family. Understand that when we are talking about a narcissistic dysfunctional family system, instead of a plan on how to best nurture and raise their children into independent, autonomous adults, the narcissist will ponder what role each person can play in bolstering their false sense of self, their grandiose self-image. This results in the creation of a hierarchy and a shuffling of needs that ensures that the family gains a dysfunctional balance which satisfies the narcissist. This means that the narcissist will do everything in their power to maintain a dysfunctional equilibrium. Anything that threatens that balance or threatens the narcissist must be crushed without exception. The narcissist drama is like a stage show, and each person plays their part. Typically, the roles that you will find in a narcissistic dysfunctional family are 1. The narcissistic parent. The narcissistic parent is the central figure in the narcissistic dysfunctional family system. They exhibit grandiosity, a sense of entitlement, and a need for constant admiration. They prioritize their own needs and desires above those of their children, often using manipulation, control, and emotional abuse to maintain power and dominance within the family. Secondly, you have the enabler or the codependent parent. The enabler parent supports the narcissistic parent's behavior and often enables their actions. They may defend and cover up for the narcissistic parent, making excuses for their behavior or ignoring the abuse. The enabler may have low self-esteem and depend on the narcissistic parent for a sense of identity and validation. Next, we have the golden child and the scapegoat. The narcissistic parent often favors one child known as the golden child, who is praised and given preferential treatment. The golden child is expected to fulfill the narcissistic parent's expectations and maintain the family's image. On the other hand, you have the scapegoat. And the scapegoat child is blamed for all family problems, criticized, and often subjected to emotional or verbal abuse. The scapegoat is made to bear the burden of the family's dysfunction and is typically the target of the narcissistic parent's rage and scapegoating. Additionally, you'll also find the lost child. And the lost child role is assumed by a child who withdraws and becomes emotionally detached from the family dynamics. They may try to remain unnoticed and avoid conflict by becoming quiet, introverted, and isolating themselves. The lost child often seeks solace in activities outside the family and may struggle with feelings of loneliness and neglect. Now, there are other roles besides the ones that I have just mentioned. However, know that it is important to recognize that these roles serve as a coping mechanisms within the dysfunctional family system. Each role has its own challenges and can have long-term effects on an individual's self-esteem, relationships, and overall well-being. Breaking free from these roles and healing from these effects of narcissistic family dynamics often require professional support, coaching, therapy, counseling, and a lot of self-work. However, understand that if you grew up in a narcissistic dysfunctional family system, the first step is to let go of these roles. And that first step then is to be aware that they are roles that are assigned in a dysfunctional family system so that the narcissistic parent can maintain a dysfunctional equilibrium. So if you're watching this video, then you are most likely assigned the lost child role or the scapegoat role, but it is important to understand that you yourself are not a scapegoat. You yourself are not a lost child. But again, these are the roles that you were assigned because you most likely grew up in a dysfunctional family system. Remember, breaking generational curses, breaking generational cycles is a process that requires time, patience, and self-compassion. So continue to educate yourself, learn about narcissistic abuse, its effects, and the common tactics used by narcissists. Knowledge is empowering and can help you to understand what you have experienced. Additionally, forgive yourself. Let go of any guilt or shame or even anger and resentment that you may be carrying, and forgive yourself for any perceived mistakes or shortcomings. Remember that you did the best you could in a very difficult situation. And finally, take things one step at a time. Healing from narcissistic abuse is a gradual process, so be patient with yourself and take things one step at a time. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small, and trust that healing is possible with time and effort. And that really is the quick message for today, kind folks. Thank you all for your continued support. Ensure that you are liking these videos. Ensure that you are subscribed for more empowering content. If you have any questions or feedback, go ahead and leave that in the comment section. Sheikah is the name. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.